To the 1011 Now streaming studio. I'm Madison Pitch. I haven't been here for a while, but Jared Minary's been here a little more frequently, so maybe you recognize him. Jared, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I have not been here for a while. You walked in, you said, "What are you doing here?"
I know. It was kind of strange to see your face.
I know. Well, there's a lot of people who would say that about me.
I'm happy to have you back.
Thanks for having me. We've got a couple of crimes to talk about today. You guys are looking for who did it.
Yes.
You got a lot of video and photo evidence, so let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about this
hit and run case.
Yeah, the hit and run. Let's get into it.
So basically, this is back October 14th, so not too long ago, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This Four Winds camper was at the Russell's Market there at 17th and Washington. Ends up basically it's taking a turn a little too tight, hits a car in the parking lot. Kind of backs up. It sounds like it hit it a second time. The thing's kind of unique. It's got quite a bit of damage to that front cabinet area there where like the bunk over the front driver's area. Looks like they maybe tried to rebuild it. And, of course, then they've got this damage from the actual accident at the back corner of that vehicle. The front window of that camper has something that says something along the lines of Mad Slope, maybe. We're not too sure exactly what that says, but we know that there was a female that was driving this. She did go inside the Russes, so this is who the driver of the vehicle was at the time of this hit and run. So we're just hoping maybe somebody can give us a nice, simple tip that'll just take us back to this female or maybe where this camper is so we can track it back.
Yeah, Jared, this can happen in a parking lot.
Of course, and, it's a big piece of equipment, I guess you might say, to be driving through like a small parking lot. So sometimes that kind of stuff happens. It's just, if you do it, you're just going to have to take responsibility so you don't get that extra ticket.
So what would she be looking at if you guys find her?
So in this case, she's probably just going to be looking at maybe like a negligent driving ticket and then possibly leaving the scene of the accident. And then, of course, you probably have some insurance issues going on within that as well.
Okay.
Really, if she had stuck around, it'd just be a negligent driving and maybe the insurance part. And that's why people like to run. They don't always have insurance for it or don't want to take the responsibility. Yeah. So. And
this camper should be easier to identify. We've got that marking on the front windshield and obviously a little bump in the back from hitting the car.
Yeah, and all that damage right above the front driver's area there. That's like the old bed maybe area. Looks like they maybe tried to rebuild it. So I'm guessing this isn't the first time they've had an accident with this vehicle. So maybe somebody has recognized this vehicle from sitting like next door at their neighbor's yard or just something.
Do you guys have any inclination if this is a person from Lincoln, a person who's passing through, going camping?
No, we don't, and that's the thing with a camper. I mean, it easily could be just somebody passing through town or heading out. We just don't really know.
And we weren't able to capture plates or anything?
Nope, not on this one. The cameras just didn't have the right angle for that one.
Okay. So if anybody has information, tell us what we should do here, Jared.
Well, of course, you can always call the police department directly at 402-441-6000, which is our non-emergency number. And then, of course, you can call Crime Stoppers. That's the only way you're going to be able to stay anonymous or to get a reward is if you call Crime Stoppers or at least contact them in one of the three ways. That first one, like I said, is a call, 402-475-3600. You can go online to LincolnCrimeStoppers.com where you can see this case along with other cases we're looking for help on. And, of course, if you have your cell phone and you download that P3 app, you can then give tips through your P3 app.
Yeah, the P3 app is pretty interesting, I think.
It's pretty slick.
Do you guys get a lot of people using that?
We do, actually. I think we've actually had less people on the phone calls than we probably do when it comes to the app and online nowadays.
And what's interesting about your app is that instead of just submitting the tip, you guys can communicate back with them, but everything's scrubbed.
Yep. So basically, everything goes and it's getting completely scrubbed, so you can stay anonymous. But the really neat thing about it is that within the technology, it still allows us to basically kind of like send a text back and forth, so we could maybe ask a few extra questions on a case. So maybe we can get some extra information that you might know, but you didn't realize that was important to us in that case. Yeah. So sometimes we can prompt just a little bit extra info out of somebody by being able to text back and forth.
And tell me why, in the grand scheme of crimes that you guys are chasing down, why is a little hit and run in a parking lot important for you guys to track down? Does Crime Stoppers, what value do you place on these kind of crimes?
Well, obviously, like I say with most crimes, it's important enough for the victim to call in. We want to do our job and make sure that we're working that case to the extent that if it was my case, I'd want someone else to work it. So as an officer, that's really what we should be doing as police officers. If somebody calls in and says, hey, I'm a victim in this and I would like you to find somebody that did this, that should be our goal. And that's really what we're doing. I mean, some people may think it's just a hit and run. Why are we wasting our time on it? It's kind of like sometimes with shoplifts. Some people will be like, why are you wasting your time on a shoplift? Not only is it important for that victim, but then a lot of times these kind of cases do lead into some bigger cases. So for instance, like on a shoplift case, they may be stealing just something small, but they may actually be then selling that item so that they can help support a drug habit. And so maybe there's a lot more to that story that's going on. And by citing that person for that shoplift, maybe that actually leads to them getting some treatment, or at least getting in the system and maybe getting some help to get off of those drugs that they're hooked on.
Yeah. It may seem like small potatoes, like a hit and run doesn't register as a big deal to me, but it is a big deal to the victim. You're right. It's important to get that figured out. Let's get into the second case now. Jared, explain to me what's going on.
Okay, so this is basically a case where somebody was working out at Genesis Health Club near 70th and A Street, and they had their wallet stolen from a locker room at the gym. Basically, then he starts getting text messages saying that they're having fraudulent transactions on his credit card, and it ends up being over $2,000 in losses on that credit card. And so, of course, doing the due diligence we would go back and we try to find the surveillance video from both Genesis and Walmart. And in these cases, we did find that Genesis, they saw this male come inside that you're seeing on video here. And basically, he leaves in what we think might be a black and green sports car, so maybe that helped somebody key in on who this guy is. And then, of course, we go to Walmart where he used those cards, where he spent that $2,000, and we get these pretty decent shots of him coming in out of Walmart. So we're just really hoping that maybe somebody has a good idea who this guy is. When they're kind of breaking into lockers at a health club, usually means this isn't the first time or last time we're going to probably see them. This is usually something that somebody's practiced up on. So it wouldn't surprise me if we have other cases with this guy that we just haven't unreported yet.
Yeah, now tell me, what Walmart was this at?
I believe it was the 27th and Superior Walmart, North Walmart.
Okay. Man, if somebody stole my wallet, they would be very disappointed. That's all I can think about in this one.
Well, that's the thing about fraud. I mean, they don't necessarily have to take your money directly. If they can get the credit card company to loan you that money, they can take it from the credit card company.
Yeah. So what would he be looking at when you guys find him?
Obviously, a fraud charge. This is over $1,500, so it could be to a felony level, especially if we can link this to other cases. There is a possibility that we have one other case that sounds a lot like this.
Okay.
We can't say for sure it's related to him for sure, but if we can start piling extra cases together, obviously we can reach that felony level very quickly, and I think we're probably already there by the loss here.
Okay, and you guys think there is potentially at least one more?
It's potential, yes.
Okay.
We had one other one, and it was around this time frame, but it wasn't directly the same day. But just on some of the basic descriptions, it's possible that it could be related to something else.
Okay. Do you see something like this a lot breaking into... I mean, you put a lot of faith in other people at a gym when you put your stuff in a locker that they're not going to touch it. Is this a common crime?
Yes. Yeah, it is. I would say when you're at a gym, it's something you need to be conscious of. It's kind of like if you like to go like running and you drive your car to some place, you park your car, make sure all your valuables aren't visible, make sure that you lock your car. I mean, it's all the basic safety things that you've probably heard the police department tell you over and over, or some expert somewhere tell you how to be safe. It's the same thing with the gym. A lot of times you can go hundreds of times and never have a problem. It's just that one time somebody just happens to pull the right strings. They're in the right place at the right time, and you can lose everything in your locker, especially if you forget to lock it or you don't use a lock. In that case, then you may have a lot more legwork to work on later to try to fix all the problems when they actually steal something from you.
Yeah. Now this, I think, you guys have really great photo and video evidence. Well, not video, but photo evidence in both of these cases. How important is that when you're trying to solve this stuff?
Really, the video and the photo has become one of the main investigative tools for the police department. Back when, like 20 years ago, a lot of this video was terrible and mushy, and the people just kind of looked like the creature from the Black Lagoon. You know, you couldn't tell what it was, And back then, the investigators, when they would actually get a great picture of a person, they would keep that tight and they would not release that because they wanted to use that as some of their investigative tools. But really, because these pictures and videos have been getting so good, we have taken the idea that if we can get these out quicker, we might actually save ourselves legwork because we don't have to work on it in the background. Maybe somebody can give us that tip that much faster and actually get us to where we need to go to get that person arrested or cited or at least identified. And then maybe we can somehow in other ways get enough evidence to make an arrest.
Yeah, and let's go over these tips one more time.
Sure. So, of course, if you have a good tip, you can give us a call at the police department, 441-6000. That's the non-emergency number to speak with a police officer. You can also call Crime Stoppers at 475-3600. You can go on LincolnCrimeStoppers.com to leave a tip on our website or see other cases that we are currently working on. And, of course, that P3 app for your cell phone, very handy-dandy to have in your pocket in case you see something happen.
All right, Jared, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you think we need to talk about or cover? Or anything like
I
that?
would like to say thanks to everybody that came out for the trunk or treat that LPD did.
Fun.
Turned out to be a stellar attendance. I know they were expecting a number, and we doubled that number this year.
Oh, wow.
So there was a little bit of panic there. Are we going to have enough candy? But we got through it, and it was a pretty good event. There's some lions this time, obviously, with that many people showing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was a really good event. Everybody seemed to have a great time.
I've got to ask, did you dress up? What was your
I
trunk
didn't.
theme or costume? You did it.
I didn't. I, of course, went and I showed up for the Crime Stoppers stuff, and I helped out with the Crime Stoppers table. And obviously, with that kind of event, you want to have your uniforms because the idea is to outreach to kids and let them know
yes.
that the police and the fire, they're all there for their help and their safety. And so I was plain Jane, and here I was in my police uniform-ish type stuff, but I wasn't in a fun costume.
Yeah.
I had to save that for Halloween.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's an important thing to do. Well, Jared, thank you so much, and thank you for joining